Okay, now value scale. Yeah, see how pale that is?
Wow, yeah.
That's almost the color of the paper, isn't it?
Yeah.
So by doing this exercise, you're finding out how much water, how much paint makes it light. So you want to get into the paint again and try to go on the palette and just make it slightly darker. And put it in the second box.
Wow, don't take much paint at all.
No, it doesn't, does it?
No,
Okay.
that looks still too dark for me.
Okay, mine's gonna drink. Good. That's what I got the towel for. Okay, good. So it did get a little darker,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So you saw it didn't take a heck of a lot more paint
No, barely little.
to make it darker, right?
Yes.
So now we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna dip just a little bit and just a little bit of paint into that pool again, a little bit water on the palette, and go to your third box. And it should get slightly darker. If it doesn't, just put a little bit more paint. I don't want a whole lot of difference in those three, because those should be my three lightest. Okay?
It's okay.
Now we're gonna start going to medium range, so we're gonna take notice we have hardly dipped into any water anymore,
Yes.
right? So we're gonna go into the paint and go to the next box. If it's not dark enough, get a little more paint on there and just make it a little darker. Okay, I'm gonna show you what we're doing, people.
Yeah.
See, your value scale should start getting like that. First three boxes, getting darker, darker, and darker. Now we're going to go into the medium. Okay. So we're going to go into the medium. And I'm going to put this over here, I think. So it's closer to the, so they can see better. Don't worry, I won't photograph you. Some people like it, some people don't. I always ask first.
Not some better.
Well, this is just oh, that's much better. Now they can see that. Okay, so now we're going to go to the next box. And I'm not going to use,
Water anymore.
well, maybe one little dip. 'Cause I don't know about your palette, but mine is drying up.
No, because this one's got those little.
It's got a lot of
creases in
water.
it.
Okay, so put a little more paint, and it should get a little darker than the box above. A little darker. If it isn't, just put a little more paint. All right. And it's pretty easy to tell, but you have to kind of creep up on it. You have to kind of creep up on it. This should be a little darker than the other ones, okay? So we're doing a value scale today, which is really important to know how much paint to how much water makes it darker. So the next one, the same thing. It should get a little darker. Not a whole lot. We're working in medium now. We're working in acrylic. How much water to how much paint makes it gradually darker. Important to know as you work with in any medium. Okay, so that's a little darker.
I think mine's too dark.
Well, mine's pretty dark too, but what I want to see is gradation from the top to the bottom. That's the main thing.
Okay.
So next box, like I said, it takes practice. Next box should get a little darker, and that should end. Oh, well, I'm beginning actually my dark range. It's beginning my last three. So from these last three should get darker and darker and darker. Darker and darker and darker. Okay, they should get darker and darker and darker. Okay. All right, now we're going to move to the next box.
I think I did okay.
Hey!
These
All
two
right.
look close though, so I have to.
Okay, I have a student with me here today, and she's doing this along with me.
Yeah.
So this is going to get a little darker. And then the last box should be pure paint. The last box should be pure paint, no water. And it should look like that, the darkest. So what we should see now is from top to bottom, a real difference in gradation of the color. It doesn't matter which color you use as long as you see a gradation from top to bottom. Okay.
I have to practice.
It doesn't really just come easily. Clean out your brush. If you want to use the same color, you don't have to clean up your brush, but you have to clean up your brush because you got to get that dark color off there. So let's get that off. Don't get used to wasting paint when you're a painter. Oh, I have that paint on there. Okay, top box again. We're going to practice again. Just a little bit of paint to the water. Here we go. Pale. Should be really pale. Almost white of the paper. And the next one should be a little dark. Oh, that's too dark. I can see that. So that means more water. More water into the palette there. That's way too dark. So if it's too dark, wash it out with water. So you just wash it. Just get it washed out.
Okay.
Just put lots of water to it. Yeah. There we go.
Okay, got it.
See? So then we get the next one. A little darker. A little bit more paint. Okay. So that's the 3 light. My light ones are better this time than my first time. The light ones. There's a better gradation. You should see a better gradation change than the first time you tried it. See?
Yes.
This is definitely having a better gradation change than the first one. The first
Yes.
3 boxes were almost the same
Yes, mine too.
in my first one.
Okay.
And by the way, it does fade, especially blue. So now I'm going into medium, so it's going to be a little darker. And that is a little darker. Don't want to get too dark too quick because we're just in the medium range. I'll go to the next box. It is a little darker. So all I'm doing is just adding a little bit more paint and less water each time, basically. And that's a better gradation too. Except in my medium range, they're almost all the same. So let's try to improve with that last box at least.
Yeah.
That's better.
Okay.
So now I'm in the last 3 dark, so I'm going to add quite a bit of paint and a lot less water. And it should be much darker than the medium range above. That's still too close, so that means more paint. Yeah. And then the next one, more paint, less water, getting darker. Oh, needs more dark. Okay, yeah, it's darker. And then the last box should be pure paint. Should be really dark. Okay. Now that's much better than your first try, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. I can see a
The
difference in
gradation,
each
right?
grouping.
So you can see where practice definitely helps with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to do one more row. And then we're going to do a little study in design. And it's kind of a fun little test. So we're going to start again with washing out that brush, getting all the color out. And starting with just water. Just water. Pale, pale, pale. This is still too much paint on there. Because my water has paint in it now.
Yeah, I
Okay,
see
so
that.
that's pretty pale. That's pretty good. That's pretty pale. That's almost white.
Okay, mine is a little
Too strong?
color. I can't do any lighter, it's just the paint.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the water you wash out in has already color in it. That's enough color in it for the first box.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can see that now, how blue that's getting?
Okay.
So we're going to keep doing the same thing. You're seeing how much water to how much paint. Makes everything a little darker. So that's my first 3. I think I see a little better gradation even than my second one. Unless it fades. But otherwise it looks like definitely this is getting a little dark. But the third one needs a little more. Yeah. So I'm comparing now my first, second, and third boxes, and I should see improvement in my gradation. That's why it's good to do this 3 times. 3's a charm, as they say.
Well, my third time's worse.
Practice, practice, practice.
I can see that.
Okay, so let's start with the medium. That should be darker than the one above it. Next one darker than the one above that. That's too close. Gotta make it a little more paint. And yeah, you can go back in there, and change it. You can go back in with more paint like I'm doing.
Well, I'm going to, because mine
Yeah.
all 5 of them look the same.
Yeah, well, see, you can just add more paint where you think it needs it. Okay, that needs to be darker. Still not getting dark enough. It's amazing, each one has changed so much from one to the other. Okay, that needs to be darker. That's too dark. Okay, so it almost has to be darker. Okay, so it's going to have to be real dark to make it darker. And the last one's pure. Going to be pure paint. I think my second one was probably the best.
Mine too. My third one is not as good.
Yeah, and what I would have to do is work on my lights and my mediums,
Yeah. and
and my darks are almost all the same. What you would wash out with some water. You can wash it out with water, but this is just an exercise. For the purpose of an exercise, I'm not going to bother to do that. That's why you do it 3 times, and just keep practicing. You could try different colors, and that's the lesson for today.
Wow.